Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And happy WrestleMania week! It is WrestleMania week. It's going to be a busy week for wrestling fans here because tonight we have Monday Night Raw. Tomorrow we have the Hall of Fame. Wednesday we have night one of NXT TakeOver, Stand Deliver. And aside from that, we have AEW Dynamite. Thursday, we have night two of TakeOver. Friday, we have SmackDown. And we have night one of WrestleMania on Saturday, night two on Sunday, and of course, Monday Night Raw next week. And NXT will be moving to Tuesday nights starting next week, which that is good right now because having, NXT on the back burner, because I watch AEW live, and having NXT on the back burner, I won't have to do that anymore when it moves to Tuesday nights next week. But I will be covering Dynamite this week. SmackDown, I won't be covering on Friday because I will be busy. Night one of WrestleMania, I will be covering. Night two, I won't be covering that on Sunday night. I may cover night two of WrestleMania next Monday before Monday Night Raw. But little change in the wrestling schedule for me this week. No SmackDown review this Friday. No WrestleMania Night 2 review on Sunday, which will be up next Monday. So just wanted to get that out. But this was Monday Night Raw's go-home show for WrestleMania. And we all know how Monday Night Raw is every single week, so I don't want to keep repeating myself. The show sucks. This show was a worthless go-home show. It didn't get you hyped for WrestleMania this weekend. But I keep on saying this WrestleMania build this year is the worst I have ever seen it. And I keep on saying that. I keep repeating myself like a broken record saying that because it's true. It's very true. Night two of WrestleMania is looking a little decent and better than night one. So what do we get on Monday Night Raw tonight? We got Xavier Woods facing AJ Styles. We had Braun Strowman versus Elias and Jaxson Ryker in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Yeah, we all know who won that match. We had once again Matt Riddle versus Mustafa Ali. Didn't we see this 2 weeks ago? Even though Matt Riddle retained his United States Championship 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Same shit. And then in the main event, we had Drew McIntyre versus Corbin. And we also got Bobby Lashley versus Cedric Alexander. But like I said, this was a worthless go-home show for Monday Night Raw. WWE did not even get you hyped for WrestleMania with this show. But let's jump right into the review. So, Monday Night Raw's go-home show for WrestleMania started off with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre came out. He got into the ring. We saw a recap of what we saw last week at the end of Monday Night Raw, where Corbin ended up attacking Drew McIntyre. So, we had McIntyre in the ring. He ended up getting on the mic. He ended up warning that the match is happening at WrestleMania. He warned Bobby Lashley that their match is happening at WrestleMania and that they will rip each other to shreds. McIntyre ended up talking about their similar journeys, but he went on to say that you can't beat a man who will sacrifice everything, and that he plans to run through Corbin later on tonight and then take back the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. So then we had Bobby Lashley and MVP came out. Bobby Lashley got on the mic, and he ended up asking if McIntyre is done yet. He ended up saying that everyone is tired of hearing him talk about last year's WrestleMania. Lashley wanted to say that McIntyre was a great champion, but his time is over. Lashley ended up saying that everyone in the back has been afraid of McIntyre, but he saw that shift last week, and he felt McIntyre fade out when he locked in the Hurt Lock on him. So Lashley ended up plugging his match against Cedric Alexander later on in the night. So McIntyre ended up wanting to get the fight done now and not wait until WrestleMania. So MVP ended up interrupting, and MVP ended up saying that that's not how it works, and that they're going to be waiting until WrestleMania. So we had Lashley and McIntyre end up bickering. MVP ended up saying that McIntyre is doing a lot of tough talk, considering he might not make it to WrestleMania. So then out came Corbin, and right from there, I could tell that the ratings were dropping already, that the Monday Night Raw ratings were dropping already. So Corbin ended up coming out. He came out in street clothes. Corbin ended up agreeing that McIntyre might not make it to WrestleMania this Saturday. So he ended up saying that he started something last week, and he's going to finish it later on tonight. So Corbin then ended up saying that he will whip McIntyre's punk ass tonight. So pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. But just very generic opening segment to open Monday Night Raw tonight. You know, in my opinion. So then we had Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods backstage. So Matt Riddle ends up walking up to them. So New Day and Matt Riddle ended up talking about their matches at WrestleMania. Xavier Woods ended up mentioning that it's going to be Matt Riddle versus Mustafa Ali later on tonight. So then Riddle ended up heading off, and they were making like these related references, these marijuana references. So that was that. And then we had Xavier Woods versus AJ Styles. This was shit. We had Xavier Woods end up coming out with Kofi Kingston. Styles end up coming out with Omos. So this was a rematch from last week, because last week Xavier Woods ended up winning the match by disqualification because Omos got involved. So Xavier Woods and Styles end up having some words. They went to lock up. Styles end up knocking Xavier Woods into the corner, started beating Xavier Woods down. Xavier Woods ended up fighting back. Styles ended up rolling him into the calf crusher. So then Kofi ended up taking the mic. Kofi was talking some shit at Omos. So Kofi then throws the mic at Omos. And it just angered Omos. And the mic throw didn't even faze Omos. You know, like he didn't even feel nothing from it. So it just angered Omos. Had an angered look on his face as he was looking at Kofi Kingston. So Omos was on the apron. He was distracting the referee. Xavier Woods ended up taking advantage of the distraction. And Xavier Woods ended up rolling up Styles for the win. So Xavier Woods ended up beating AJ Styles in 1 minute. I'm not kidding. 1 minute it took Xavier Woods to beat Styles. So that was that. Overall, terrible. Terrible match. So then we saw a Bugatti, a white Bugatti, was arriving backstage at Tropicana Field. We saw Bad Bunny end up popping out of the Bugatti, and then Damien Priest end up popping out of it. So that was what we saw. So then Braun Strowman ended up coming out. Braun Strowman made his way out, and he was in the ring, and a steel cage was around the ring. And so we got sent to a video package for Strowman and Shane, this whole build-up towards their WrestleMania match. So after we saw the video package, Strowman ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up talking about being bullied his whole life over his appearance by guys like Shane McMahon. So he ended up warning that Shane does not know what he's gotten himself into. Strowman wanted to say that Shane can run his mouth all he wants, but when he steps into the cage, the running stops. So Strowman ended up saying that he isn't going to just whoop Shane's ass for himself. He's going to whoop it for everyone who's been told they won't be anything in life. So Strowman ended up saying that Shane is leaving WrestleMania in a body bag after he gets these hands. So then Shane McMahon ended up coming out. Shane was on the mic. Shane was taunting Strowman for getting so upset. Shane went on to say that he's not just any man. He's a McMahon. And he will outwit Strowman at WrestleMania. And he also went on to say that the next morning, Strowman will admit to himself that he is stupid. So then out came Elias and Jaxson Ryker, and we had the 2-on-1 handicap match. But this was just meh, in my opinion, this whole segment with Strowman and Shane. Who gives a shit? I don't give a shit about this feud between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Who gives a fuck? So then we had the 2-on-1 handicap match. Braun Strowman versus Elias and Jaxson Ryker. Fucking garbage. So we had Jaxson Ryker and Elias stand up stalking Strowman as the bell rang. Ryker ended up attacking first. Strowman ended up fighting Jaxson Ryker off. Elias came in. Strowman ended up decking Elias. So it was just a squash match for Jaxson Ryker and Elias. Braun Strowman ended up winning. We had Strowman end up power slamming Elias and also Jaxson Ryker. And Braun Strowman ended up pinning both Ryker and Elias at the same time. So that was that. Braun Strowman ended up winning. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? So then we had Kevin Patrick. He ended up stopping The Miz and John Morrison backstage. So The Miz and Morrison were carrying paint cans. So Miz and Morrison, they ended up going on about being great artists in music. Really? That Hey Hey Hop Hop fucking video that we saw last week was fucking awful. God awful. So like I said, they end up saying about them being great artists. Yeah, okay. If you want to see them be great artists, watch that awful Hey Hey Hop Hop video that we saw last week. Garbage. So they end up saying, oh, they're great in painting, apparently. So The Miz and Morrison, they end up approaching Bad Bunny's Bugatti that was just backstage. So Morrison ended up asking if The Miz is serious. Now, this Bugatti was said to be $3 million. So Miz ended up spawning a scratch on the Bugatti. And he ended up saying, this is matching paint. So Miz and Morrison, they end up painting Bad Bunny's white Bugatti. It was like a reddish orange paint color. They started painting "Hey Hey Hop Hop" on the hood of the Bugatti. So Miz ended up putting his fingerprints all over the car. And they end up calling their painting on this Bugatti a beautiful masterpiece. And both Miz and Morrison walked away. I don't care about this Miz, Morrison, Bad Bunny feud. I really don't. And then after that, Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Bad Bunny was backstage. And he was pissed off as he looked at his Bugatti that was painted on by the Miz and Morrison. So Miz and Morrison end up attacking Bad Bunny from behind. They end up beating him down. Miz and Morrison end up tossing Bad Bunny on top of another car. So Miz end up manhandling Bad Bunny on the ground. Officials end up rushing up. They end up sending Miz and Morrison running. Damien Priest end up checking on Bad Bunny. Damien Priest didn't look too happy about that. So Adam Pearce was there. Adam Pearce ended up calling for a medic. But Bad Bunny ended up saying that he's okay. So that was that. And then we had Nia Jaxson, Shayna Baszler versus Asuka and Rhea Ripley. So we saw Asuka end up coming out first. And we saw, video package of last week on how this tag team match came to be. So we saw Rhea Ripley, a video of Rhea Ripley. This was earlier today. Rhea Ripley was warming up in the back. Sarah Schreiber ended up approaching Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she was confident about ripping the women's tag team champions apart tonight. And then facing Asuka on Sunday. So that was a little thing that Rhea Ripley ended up saying to Sarah Schreiber. So then out came Rhea Ripley, which it was announced that Ash Costello is going to perform Rhea Ripley's song Brutality at WrestleMania. She's going to sing it live. That's pretty cool. So then we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler come out. Of course, Reginald was there. So Tom Phillips on commentary, he ended up confirming that at night one of WrestleMania, this Saturday, it's going to be a 5-team tag team turmoil match. And the winners of that tag team turmoil match will face Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler on night 2 and face them for the Women's Tag Team Championship. So, but this match was just meh, in my opinion. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler ended up winning, where we saw Rhea Ripley end up going to the floor. She ended up dropping Asuka face first onto the floor. So before that, we had Rhea Ripley end up getting on the apron, shove Asuka to the floor, and that's when all that happened. And then Rhea Ripley ended up rolling Asuka into the ring. Shayna Baszler ended up leveling Asuka with a running knee to Asuka's face. And then Shayna Baszler went for the cover. There you go. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler ended up winning the match. Overall, just a very meh match, in my opinion. So then, Cedric Alexander ended up approaching MVP backstage. Cedric ended up grabbing MVP by his collar. Shelton Benjamin also approached MVP. Cedric ended up having some harsh words for MVP and also a warning. Cedric told MVP that he may not beat Bobby Lashley tonight, but he will leave Bobby Lashley something to remember him by. So Cedric ended up saying that he can't wait to see McIntyre end up kicking Bobby Lashley's teeth in at WrestleMania and expose MVP for the crippled fraud he is. So Cedric ended up walking off. Shelton Benjamin was shown straightening MVP's jacket. So Shelton ended up telling MVP to stay his crippled ass out of the way. So then Shelton ended up walking off. Sarah Schreiber then walked up to MVP. She ended up asking if he is now worried about Bobby Lashley's match. MVP ended up telling Sarah Schreiber that he is never worried about Lashley and that he is bothered by the ungrateful attitude he saw from both Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. MVP went on, he ended up saying that he takes credit for both Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander for the both of them being relevant again and getting a bump to first class. So then Bobby Lashley ended up walking up and he ended up asking what happened. But MVP ended up downplaying to Bobby Lashley about what happened. So Lashley ended up saying that he's going to break Cedric's ass in half. So that was that. But this was decent, in my opinion. This was decent. So then after that, we saw Sarah Schreiber. She ended up approaching Nia Jaxson, Shayna Baszler backstage. Sarah Schreiber ended up asking Nia Jaxson, Shayna Baszler about WrestleMania. They ended up saying that they are confident. So Lana and Naomi then appear. And then Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, Natalya, Tamina Snuka, and the Riot Squad. And then we got Billie Kay appearing. She has her photo, her 8x4 photo, whatever. She ended up saying that Carmella is reviewing her resume. So Nia Jax ended up saying that they don't have time for all this. So we had Reginald and Shayna Baszler and these other teams argue. Who cares? Who gives a shit? So then we had Bobby Lashley versus Cedric Alexander. This was a decent match here, in my opinion. So we had Cedric Alexander. He was already out with Shelton Benjamin. MVP was on commentary. Before the bell ended up ringing, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander end up attacking Bobby Lashley. They end up double teaming on Bobby Lashley. Lashley ended up fighting back. He ended up decking Cedric Alexander. Lashley then tossed Shelton Benjamin over the top rope out to the floor. So the match got underway. Lashley ended up stalking Cedric Alexander. Cedric ended up going behind Bobby Lashley, but Lashley ended up scooping him up, ended up slamming Cedric Alexander. Lashley started unloading on Cedric in the corner. Lashley then delivered a neck breaker. Lashley then launched Cedric Alexander across the ring. And Lashley ended up tossing Cedric out to the floor in front of Shelton Benjamin. So there was a point where Lashley ended up scooping Cedric Alexander on his shoulders. And Lashley ended up running Cedric Alexander into the ring post. So Cedric ended up going down. Shelton Benjamin was looking on. So we had MVP and Lashley. They were taunting Shelton Benjamin later on in the match. So Lashley ended up whipping Cedric Alexander, and he ended up catching Cedric with a spine buster. Lashley then locked in the Hurt Lock. He started ragdolling Cedric Alexander while he was in the Hurt Lock. So Cedric ended up fading. Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Shelton Benjamin end up rushing into the ring. He ended up attacking Bobby Lashley. Lashley ended up fighting back. He ended up dropping Shelton Benjamin on his face. Lashley then applied the Hurt Lock on Shelton Benjamin. He was ragdolling Shelton Benjamin while he was in the Hurt Lock. And MVP ended up bringing the WWE Championship in the ring. And that was that. So, but overall, it was a decent match between Lashley and Cedric Alexander. So then we had Bad Bunny end up coming out. Bad Bunny came out along with Damien Priest. So Damien Priest ended up taking the mic. And Damien Priest ended up saying that The Miz and Morrison ended up crossing a line tonight. He wanted to say that they are just yesterday's news, while Bad Bunny is a record-smashing global icon. Damien Priest ended up saying, how about we make this a tag team match at WrestleMania? So Bad Bunny was shown nodding. He likes the idea. So I'm like, if you have Bad Bunny and The Miz just go at it one-on-one at WrestleMania, you already know that Bad Bunny is going to lose the match. And The Miz is just going to win like that. So I'm really glad that they changed the match and made it a tag team match. Which that was originally what they were going to do. It was originally supposed to be a tag team match, but then WWE is like, you know what? Let's just have The Miz and Bad Bunny one-on-one at WrestleMania. Let's not have Damien Priest. Let's not have Morrison. So, but I'm glad that they changed it again, because Bad Bunny versus The Miz, that would have been terrible. I mean, even though this match right here, even though they changed it into a tag team match, it's not going to make any difference to me. But Bad Bunny ended up getting Mike, and he ended up saying that he came here just following his dreams because he loves and respects the business, and he respects every superstar. Bad Bunny ended up saying that he remembers watching all the shows, Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-views with friends and family. He wants to say that he has a lot of good memories with the company, with WWE. And then he went on to say that he just doesn't know how to feel or think with this experience. He ended up saying that he came here to perform and do his job, and that he was very grateful to perform at the Royal Rumble because of his love for Booker T. So he ended up going on about respecting and loving, other legends in the business. He said that, he's a fan of Booker T. So Bad Bunny ended up saying that he used to respect The Miz, but The Miz hasn't respected him since day one. Bad Bunny ended up saying that he isn't a pro wrestler, but he is a man, and that The Miz hasn't respected him. So Bad Bunny ended up asking Miz who he thinks he is. He ended up saying that he respects Miz being a legend. The Miz a legend? Yeah, okay. The Miz is far from a legend. But he ended up saying, of course, Miz hasn't respected him. So he wanted to say that The Miz crossed the line and that he doesn't care. He will show The Miz how to respect him on Saturday, and that he's going to shut The Miz's mouth and he's going to whip his ass. So then The Miz and Morrison are on the screen, or on the big screen. They were mocking Bad Bunny. They were applauding him. So The Miz ended up saying that Bad Bunny doesn't belong here. Miz ended up saying that this is their world, and Bad Bunny has overstayed his welcome. and that they're going to embarrass him this weekend. So Morrison ended up saying that they are accepting the challenge for a tag team match at WrestleMania. So The Miz and Morrison were shown hopping in their limousine. They ended up driving off. And that was that. But yeah, tag team match at WrestleMania. Bad Bunny and Damien Priest versus The Miz and Morrison. And I'm not even excited for it. So then Sheamus ended up stopping Mustafa Ali backstage. He was giving Mustafa Ali some advice on Matt Riddle. Ali ended up interrupting Sheamus. He ended up saying that he is fired up about facing Matt Riddle. And he's not interested in the advice. Sheamus then told Ali to relax and that they don't have much in common. But they do have complete dislike for Matt Riddle in common. And they want for the United States Championship. Sheamus ended up saying that he will be out there rooting for Ali while he is on commentary. And then after WrestleMania. So Matt Riddle then ended up flying through on his scooter. And that was that. Then we had, of course, Matt Riddle versus Mustafa Ali. We already got this match 2 weeks ago on Raw, even though that match was for the United States Championship, which Matt Riddle ended up retaining the United States Championship. What was so different that we didn't see 2 weeks ago? Same shit. So, Sheamus was on commentary for the match, and we had Riddle and Mustafa Ali go back and forth. Riddle ended up getting the upper hand, delivered a few moves to Mustafa Ali. Ali ended up coming back with a running kick to Riddle's face, went for a quick pin attempt. Riddle ended up fighting back. He ended up sending Ali out to the floor. He then delivered a big kick to Ali's shoulder from the apron. So Riddle ended up rolling Ali back into the ring, and he ended up stopping. He ended up putting Sheamus' hat on his head, and Riddle was just taunting Sheamus on commentary. Sheamus ended up standing up, started yelling at Riddle. Ali ended up attacking from behind. He ended up dropping Riddle at ringside. So at the end of the match, Riddle ended up getting the win. Riddle ended up catching a tornado DDT, and he turned that into the Bro Derek on Ali. So Matt Riddle ended up winning the match. So, post-match, Sheamus ended up standing up at the announce table. He started yelling at Riddle. And that was that. But same shit that we saw 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. It was the same Monday Night Raw 2 weeks ago where Shane ended up throwing the slime on Braun Strowman, which made it look like Nickelodeon, like I was watching Nickelodeon on Monday Night Raw. But yeah, we saw that match 2 weeks ago, and Matt Riddle ended up winning that match also and retained the United States Championship. Nothing different. Same shit. So then we had Kevin Patrick backstage with Drew McIntyre. McIntyre ended up talking with Kevin Patrick about Corbin and knows he will do anything to get the job done, even climb over his own grandmother. And that this will be no different as he finishes Corbin off by hitting the Claymore and then goes on to WrestleMania to get the WWE Championship back from Bobby Lashley. So McIntyre ended up walking off, and that was that. So then we had the main event. Drew McIntyre versus Corbin. So we saw Bobby Lashley end up watching the match backstage. Sarah Schreiber ended up approaching Bobby Lashley. So Lashley ended up cutting a promo on McIntyre, and he ended up saying that he looks forward to putting him down with the Hurt Lock. So that was that. Then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had MVP on commentary. the match ended up starting, which the match itself, it was okay. It was an okay match in my opinion. Corbin and McIntyre end up locking up. So Corbin ended up going behind McIntyre. They were trading holds. Corbin ended up dropping McIntyre with a shoulder. Corbin was taunting McIntyre some more. MVP was also on commentary, taunting McIntyre. So McIntyre and Corbin end up locking up again. McIntyre ended up controlling Corbin with the headlock. We saw Bobby Lashley was still watching the match from backstage. Corbin ended up getting a shot in at McIntyre, but McIntyre ended up leveling him with a huge shoulder. Corbin then retreated out to the floor to regroup himself. He came back in and he started taking McIntyre into the corner. He was throwing some strikes at McIntyre. McIntyre then took advantage. He ended up going to work on Corbin. He ended up dropping Corbin with a big boot. Went for the cover, which Corbin kicked out at 2. McIntyre then delivered a suplex to Corbin. Went for another cover. Corbin kicked out at 2. It was back and forth between the both of them now. So at the end of the match, we had McIntyre end up winning the match, where MVP ended up getting up from the commentary table. He goes to the edge of the ring. He was telling Corbin, it's not about getting the win. It's about taking McIntyre out. So MVP was yelling out, take out Drew. So MVP ended up handing his cane to Corbin, and the referee ended up seeing it. So McIntyre ended up ducking the cane shot from Corbin, and McIntyre came right back, delivered the Claymore to Corbin, went for the cover, and there you go. Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had MVP looking disappointed at ringside. We had McIntyre end up standing tall in the ring, and he was looking up at MVP on the ramp. And out came Bobby Lashley. And Lashley and McIntyre were staring each other down. And that was how the go-home show for WrestleMania on Monday Night Raw side ended. But overall, this was an okay main event between McIntyre and Corbin. Overall, this show was worthless. This was a worthless go-home show for WrestleMania. This show was absolutely dreadful. Nothing that we saw on tonight's show got you hyped for WrestleMania. Nothing. Just an absolutely dreadful show it was tonight on Monday Night Raw. So, anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, which will possibly be the AEW Dynamite review for Wednesday, for this Wednesday's edition. And I'm also going to see Godzilla vs. Kong this week. So I'm seeing that on Wednesday. So who knows? Maybe Wednesday could be a double upload for you guys. I'll have the review of Godzilla vs. Kong. If I do a movie review of that, it will be up on Wednesday. If not, it will be up a different day. So then it will just be the Dynamite review on Wednesday. If, I don't do the Godzilla vs. Kong movie review. So, but anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.